The President launching the government's initiative to eradicate the pit latrines a short while ago, earlier on today actually. All right, so let's cross now to Palesa, who's standing by to take us through our next story.
All right, thank you so much, Peter. Let's just take this discussion further. I'm now joined by the National Education Collaboration Trust CEO, Mr. Godwin Khosa. Good afternoon to you. Thank you so much indeed for making the time.
Good afternoon, Palestine. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, but just before we talk about today's events, let's just go back to NECT. For someone who's never heard of it, talk to us about the mandate and what it has achieved thus far. Okay.
So the NECT stands for the National Education Collaboration Trust. It was set up in 2014, following the launch, 2013, following the launch of the National Development Plan in August 2012. So business, labor, civil society and government came together to agree on how they will collaborate to support the implementation of Chapter 9 of the National Development Plan.
All right, so basically it's that public-private partnership that the President was talking about earlier on.
Yes.
All right, let's go back to what the President was saying. For someone who missed his speech on this SAFE initiative, talk to us about it. What exactly does it entail?
So the President launched the initiative, and essentially he was humbly putting out a plea to South Africans to join government in an effort to fast-track the process of clearing the backlogs of the unsafe pit latrines in our schools, and he gave an indication of where things are. Quite importantly, I think he's been able to link the broader purpose of education to how we bring our kids up, and in particular the centrality of bringing up our kids with dignity, and how the various sectors could work together to create a suitable environment for learning and teaching to take place and for us to bring up the future of this country.
Yeah, and the situation is dire. Nearly 4,000 schools across South Africa are still being subjected to pit latrines or perhaps other inappropriate sanitation. So I would want to imagine, Mr. Khosa, that there's a long way to go still.
There's a long way to go, and in fact we're very clear that the work starts now. There's a lot of work that has to be done. But we should also be cognizant of the work that has been done, since the past, 20 years. Some 11,000 schools and about have received a new infrastructure, schooling infrastructure, and sanitation facilities in particular. However, the backlog still remains. I mean, there's about 3,898 schools that require a upgrade in the toilet facilities that they have.
Some don't even have those facilities. We ran a story here on the show yesterday from the Eastern Cape. The situation is heartbreaking, to say the least.
Absolutely, and I think all the reason the minister and the president came out to ask for assistance, and it's a range of assistance, forms of assistance, from financial assistance to technical assistance, which will fast track the planning, the allocation of those sites, the assessments of the size, and the actual construction of the facilities that we require in the schools.
Yeah, and I know that NECT has been working very closely with the Department of Basic Education. Talk to us about the department's plans to eradicate this problem as it is. Let's just put aside the President's plea for a moment and talk about the capabilities of the department to do away with this problem. Do they have the necessary resources? Do they have the necessary financials, maybe?
So I can't talk in absolute terms on behalf of the department, but the department has plans to deliver infrastructure in school, which goes beyond sanitation. Yeah. So the provision of classrooms and so on and so forth. Budgeting has been provided for that at a pace that they can manage with the kind of technical capacity that they have. The delivery of infrastructure in the Department of Education happens at two levels: at provincial level as well as through special programs that are driven from national level. So in the past years, through the ASIDI program, the National Department of Basic Education has been providing infrastructure in these hard-hit localities in the country and so on. But ever since the death of the two young persons, they found it necessary, and at the instruction of the President, to divert, some of their energies, capacities, and budgets, towards the sanitation a challenge.
Yeah, which is what many people are saying. Did it have to really take away 2 lives in order for the department to act? Because the department was also warned by Section 27 about particular schools in Limpopo province and on a national level, but nothing happened.
Yeah, obviously that's regrettable. I mean, we didn't have to lose lives, but I think it's not too late, for South Africans to get together and help out in fast-tracking the provision of sanitation in schools. I do believe that, the plans that I've seen from the department, that these sites that have been allocated to the department, which will be addressed through the departmental program, will run much faster. And in fact, the additional sites, or other sites that will be allocated to the additional capacity that we're getting from outside government, would actually help to pace up the process of addressing the eradication of these pit latrines, unsafe pit latrines. And I must say, there is nothing wrong with pit latrines per se. They are kind of standards of pit latrines that are usable, that are safe, which aren't, dangerous to, young people. So the department has actually come up with various models, some of which includes, pit latrines, because there are instances where there's no water, so waterborne toilets would not work in those cases.
I think the issue here is the safety of the children, but we'll leave it at that. Should we be hopeful going forward that the situation will change for the better soonest?
I think we should be hopeful. The kind of response that we've seen in the past month or so, and this morning when the president launched the initiative, gives us hope. So we're talking to various players who are interested in coming in to assist the department. Either they're providing technical assistance, or they're providing pledges in form of financial assistance and so on. So we'll try and bring all those together and marshal them to the places where the needs are, and hopefully we'll clear this backlog in time.
All right, we'll keep a very close eye on the situation as it unfolds. Mr. Khosa, thank you so much for coming.